Something with a bulbous head and skinny limbs darted across a woman's yard in Compton. A ghostly shape floated through a backyard hammock and flipped it over, and a group of rafters spotted something upright and covered in hair watching them from the trees. Whatever it was, it definitely wasn't a bear. This is pretty nuts. Watch the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. So a woman in Compton named Jessica Ortiz caught whatever this was on her doorbell camera. It was around 1 a.m. on June 5th when her Ring cam picked up something weird darting across her porch. It's only in frame for a second or two, but it really does look like a little alien dude. I was like, I'm going crazy. I'm literally going crazy. I'm losing my mind, Jessica said after watching it. She grabbed her son and had him check the footage as well, just to make sure she wasn't imagining things. Going on to say, he sat up on his bed and he played it like 3 times. When he was done on the 3rd one, he was like, "Mom, it's an alien, call the police." I was like, I'm not calling the police on an alien, it'd sound crazy, end quote. She called her neighbor though behind the house to ask if anyone had been outside, and no. To make things creepier, Ortiz said that there were loud banging sounds right after the thing ran by. Watch what was captured floating through this person's backyard. Now it definitely looks like smoke at first, but as it moves through the hammock, well, first of all, it completely flips it around, and as it floats across the screen, the vague, formless shape starts to form into what looks like a ghostly entity with its arms stretched out. And it doesn't fade away like smoke would, it comes back, moving in the opposite direction. Watch the top of the screen. So that is pretty weird. This is either some clever VFX work or something that can't be as easily explained. What do you all think? Share your thoughts down below. Next up, we have a new piece of Bigfoot footage for you. On May 24th, a crew from Colorado River Expedition had pulled over on the upper Colorado River for a lunch break when someone shouted, "Bear!" But they quickly realized this wasn't a bear. As lead guide Logan Kirk put it, someone yelled out that they saw a bear, so we started looking at it, and that's when we realized it was something else. It wasn't a bear. It was standing up there on the hillside. It was definitely bipedal, which really stood out to us, end quote. So, here we see this big hairy figure standing upright looking out through the trees, stands between 2 pines and just stares at the camera, then disappears back into the woods. Now, bears do stand on their hind legs sometimes, but not like this. I'm not going to speak to the validity of this being a Sasquatch or not, but it isn't a bear. Hoax or not a hoax, that's another question, but Kirk isn't done with this yet, saying we're going to go up to see if we can find any evidence of what was going on up there, whether that's footprints or something else. And another recent story out of Colorado, 2 friends hiking in the Rockies may have accidentally snapped a photo of something. A 20-foot tall gray figure clinging to the side of a mountain. Jesse Clausen and Camille Avarella were coming down Long's Peak last year on August 24th when they took a photo of the view, not realizing that there was something lurking in the background. "I was shocked to the bone when we were looking at the picture," Clausen said. "At the time, they didn't see anything unusual. We didn't take the picture because we saw that thing. We just took it because the mountain range was pretty," she continued. The hike started at 2 a.m. and the photo was taken around 9 a.m., right after they'd reached the summit. "We were in full adrenaline mode, so we weren't really paying attention," Clausen explained. Well, weeks later, while showing the photos to family on a big TV screen, Camille's dad spotted something odd. "What the hell? That thing is at least 20 foot or so," he said. And Camille was like, "Should we call the Rangers?" "It could be a rock," Avarella admitted, "but it has all the features of something that is human," Clausen added. But what do you all think? Share your thoughts in the comments. This image was captured by a Reddit user's security camera. WeirdSet2248 writes, "This is a Tapo camera out the back. The edge of it catches the neighbor's garden. I have chickens out back, which is a new addition. My mom wanted to see a pic of them to see if I could keep an eye on them over the camera, and she replied saying, 'What's up with your neighbor's face?' WTF is going on with his face, Skinwalker?" And yeah, there's clearly something off here. The mouth especially. When I first looked at this post, the face reminded me of something. I just couldn't put my finger on it. But thankfully, a commenter beat me to it, saying it looks like the guy is wearing a Winnie the Pooh mask. Kinda looks like that live-action horror version of Winnie that came out a couple years ago. This piece of footage comes from a CCTV camera in Thailand. Security guards were stunned by this strange object floating through the air. Take a look at this. Now, a lot of people were quick to say this was just a drone, but others have different opinions, including the guards. At one point, the guy filming the footage captured on the CCTV says the word Penanggalan. Now, Penanggalan is this vampiric creature from Malaysian and Indonesian folklore. By day, she looks like a normal woman, but at night, her head detaches from her body and floats around with her guts still dangling underneath. She flies through the air looking for victims, usually pregnant women, and feeds on them using her long tongue and organs. To keep her body safe while she's out hunting, she hides it somewhere and soaks it in vinegar so that her guts don't swell up. People would hang thorns or broken glass around their homes to snag her when she tried to come in, and if you ever found her empty body while she was out, you could kill her by burning it or stuffing it with sharp objects so she couldn't return to it before sunrise. So yeah, a pretty gruesome creature. Luckily though, no reports of people being mauled by a flying head at the time this security footage was taken. This video comes from Reddit user illdisciplined3142, whose motion capture camera caught something really strange in their neighbor's backyard. Take a look at this. So it's not on screen very long, but the figure does appear to have a bit of an odd shape. The Redditor wrote in the description, the camera was placed towards the back end of the property. Directly in front of the camera is a massive 10,000 plus acre forest, meaning this creature would be walking towards the street from the forest at 2:39 a.m. with zero lights guiding it. The camera began to also pick up strange sounds after it was seen and continued to do so for about 30 seconds before ending. At this point of view, this creature would have to be 9+ feet tall, as the camera is placed about 10 feet up. This is entirely unedited footage. I have absolutely no idea what this could be, and the movement is strangely slow. Rewatching this footage brings me goosebumps of which I never felt before, since this was really close to my house as well. This is also an area that rarely has hunters, as it is a very protected forest. If anyone can attempt to identify what this truly is, it would save me a lot of thoughts. This is a pretty odd video. It comes from Reddit user SoggyGate9281, who asked, what does everyone think this is? The alarms are being set off because it's picked up motion detection. And I really don't know what to make of it. Seems to me it's just this glowing stick moving across the screen. That it moves out of frame, but keep your eyes on the walkway at the bottom of the screen. A shadow moves across the frame, so someone or something was definitely outside, but who or what and why? This clip comes from Reddit user 87Lucas Oliveira, who wrote in the heading, a video captured by a security camera recorded a humanoid-looking shadow / transparent apparition at the back of the property, moving from left to right, leaving the dogs of the residents very agitated. The recording took place on a farm in El Salvador on February 6, 2025. So let's take a look at this. Now, it's hard to make out because the figure seems to be semi-translucent, but there's definitely something there. Notice how fast the thing moves too. It doesn't look like someone walking, it looks like something gliding, although, as the Redditor says, it does have a humanoid shape to it. And I love that there are dogs freaking out in this video. It just means it's not a case of a technical issue with the camera. I think this is a pretty strange video, but what do you all think? This Reddit user's grandparents captured something disturbing on their home security camera. Draw Representative 12 shared these images just the other day, along with a brief description. He said that a year or two ago, he was at Thanksgiving dinner, and his grandfather showed him these images on his living room camera. His grandparents don't live with anyone else. There's no little girl in the home, at least not that they know of. So who's walking through the living room here? And just what in the hell is this nightmare fuel standing in the doorway? Draw Representative 12 also said that his grandparents aren't tech savvy enough to hoax something like this. Seems to me there could be someone secretly squatting in the home. Either that or something else was captured on camera here. I'm really not sure which is worse. Deep inside a decommissioned US nuclear weapons plant in the southeast, wild alligators are taking over. A BBC Earth episode reports from the front line followed biologist Laura Kojima and her team as they captured alligators in the contaminated waterways and sediments. So every year they catch dozens of these gators to test for radiation and toxins. They tag them, scan their skin, tails, and internal organs, looking for leftover radioactive material. So far, most alligators seem clean, but since they're at the top of the food chain, they act like the quote, canaries in the coal mine for the swamp ecosystem. Basically, if radioactive waste starts spreading through the food chain, the gators will be the first to show it. Somehow, though, these things have adapted to live in a human-made nuclear wasteland, living in a swamp that most people wouldn't dare enter. The Hanford site in Washington was at one time a secret plutonium factory for nuclear bombs. It's still one of the most radioactive places in the US, but it's also home to deer, turkeys, wild hogs, and rabbits that scientists have been studying. Researchers found rabbits foraging near contaminated soil with high levels of cesium-137, a dangerous radioactive isotope that sticks around for decades. The Department of Energy and wildlife biologists monitor these animals because they can carry radioactive particles outside the site. Rabbits eat plants growing in contaminated areas and then move around the site and sometimes beyond. Other animals can show traces of radiation too, but the rabbits consistently show the highest levels. So they're super valuable when it comes to understanding how far the contamination might spread. On March 1st, 1954, the Japanese tuna boat Lucky Dragon No. 5 was fishing near the Marshall Islands when the US Castle Bravo hydrogen bomb test at Bikini Atoll went off. 50 megatons, way bigger than they'd apparently expected. Crew members saw this massive flash, and then hours later, a white powdery substance started blanketing the ship. Well, they scooped it up with their bare hands. It filled their hair, their noses, their eyes, even got into their underwear. That dust carried fallout, cesium, strontium, and uranium. The crew got sick right away, with nausea, burns, red eyes, bleeding gums. One man, Chief Radioman Aikichi Kubayama, died in September that year from radiation sickness, making him the first person to die from a hydrogen bomb blast. Other crew members suffered severe symptoms and spent weeks in the hospital. They had to dump 2 tons of tuna once the ship returned to port. They were completely contaminated. The fallout had spread over 7,000 square miles of ocean as well. In some areas contaminated by radiation, eastern tree frogs have been found with completely black skin, a condition called melanism. Scientists think this dark color happens because these frogs produce extra melanin, the pigment that gives skin its color, possibly to protect themselves from harmful UV rays or radiation. Studies near nuclear sites show that these frogs living in radioactive zones developed this black skin over time, which is unusual, of course, compared to their normally green or brown cousins. The extra melanin might help absorb or block radiation and UV light, acting like a natural sunscreen. They're still trying to figure out exactly how this dark skin helps them and whether radiation caused genetic changes or triggered the melanin increase in some other way. Either way though, seeing entire populations of frogs turn black near nuclear contamination zones, that's pretty eerie. Back in the 1940s and 50s, the US dropped 43 nuclear bombs on Eniwak Atoll. Decades later, scientists noticed something pretty weird. Sea turtles had nuclear pollution in their shells. Turns out turtles pick up this radioactive material when they eat algae or swim through contaminated water. That radiation gets locked into layers of their shells. Scientists grabbed some turtle shells, even old museum samples, and found nuclear material buried in different layers. One sample collected in 1978 showed uranium in the shell 20 years after the tests had stopped. Off the coast of Greece, there was this story about a pale, mutated, misshapen dolphin. So this photo here was snapped by a man named Harvey Robertson, a Scottish tourist on a boat cruise. It does look pretty damn strange. I mean, if someone in a lab coat showed me this image and said it was a radioactive dolphin, I'd probably believe them. The image first surfaced on cryptid forums where fishermen and beachgoers came forward saying they'd seen it near the Ionian Sea areas, rumored to contain dumped cruise ship waste? Zoologist Dr. Darren Naish from the University of Southampton's National Oceanography Center thinks that if someone took a skin sample from this thing though, it would probably show a lot of polyvinyl chloride, basically plastic. So yeah, he doesn't really think this creature is real. But what do you think? After the 2011 meltdown at Fukushima, scientists and members of the Tokyo Electric Power Company, or TEPCO, have been testing fish in the plant's inner harbor, and they've come to some shocking results. Well, maybe not all that shocking considering what happened, but still interesting. In May 2022, they caught a black rockfish that was full of cesium-137, 180 times Japan's safe limit. Over a year-long period, they found 44 fish above the limit, caught inside or near the same port areas. These contaminated fish are almost all bottom dwellers that feed off the sediment where radioactive cesium has settled. The sediment was found to have over 100,000 becquerels per kilogram of radioactivity. To put that into perspective, Japan's safety limit for radioactive cesium in food is just 100 becquerels per kilogram. This stuff was literally 1,000 times over the safe limit, so way too dangerous for human exposure, obviously. TEPCO has installed nets to stop this radiated seafood from mixing with safer catch, but even then, a fish caught about 50 kilometers away in January of 2022 was still above the limit, so bottom line is, cleanup hasn't eliminated all radiation in the food chain. In the weeks leading up to the Chernobyl disaster in April of 1986, people in the area started reporting something strange. Sightings of a massive black bird-like creature near the power plant. Workers described it as huge, with a wingspan of over 20 feet, with glowing red eyes that pierced through the fog. Some said it would circle the plant, some claimed it hovered over Pripyat itself, just watching. People who claimed to see the creature often reported being plagued by terrifying nightmares afterward, and there were stories about mysterious phone calls with no one on the other end, just heavy breathing. It would also come on around the same time people would report seeing the bird. Some believe the creature was a warning, an omen, something tied to the disaster that was about to take place. And after the explosion at Reactor 4, the sightings stopped. No one claimed to see the blackbird again. Now, here's something that is totally verified. Inside the ruins of Chernobyl nuclear power plant, scientists discovered something very unexpected, a black fungus that seems to grow toward radiation. This fungus, called Cladosporium sporosporum, I think I'm pronouncing that right, probably not though. Well, it seems to feed off the radiation. Researchers first noticed it because it was spreading on the walls of the reactor's damaged areas. What makes this fungus so weird is that it contains high levels of melanin. Again, that same pigment that gives human skin color. Melanin in this case seems to help the fungus absorb radiation and possibly convert it into chemical energy to grow. It's like the fungus is photosynthesizing, but instead of using sunlight, it's using radiation. When scientists studied it, they found that the fungus actually grew faster when it was exposed to gamma radiation. Not just resistant, it's thriving in an environment that's lethal to most life on Earth. And that's really cool, because now scientists are thinking this fungus could possibly be used for radiation shielding in the future, maybe on space missions. When the Chernobyl disaster happened in 1986, radioactive fallout spread across Europe, settling into forests, soil, and water. Decades later, wild boars, especially in Germany, are still testing dangerously radioactive. The main problem is that these boars love to dig up and eat underground mushrooms called deer truffles, which are really good at soaking up radioactive particles from the contaminated soil. Even after all this time, radiation levels on the surface have dropped as well, but mushrooms keep pulling all that radioactive material up from the ground, and since boars rely on them as a big part of their diet, the animals end up with high levels of it in their bodies. Some samples tested in Germany have shown levels of radioactivity far above safe limits for human consumption. It's such a big issue that hunters who kill these boars are required to have them tested before the meat can be eaten or sold. In a lot of cases, the meat is just discarded. And these radioactive boars have spread all across Europe, migrating and mixing with other populations. Well, you wanted clear footage of a cryptid. here it is. It's not often we get supposed Sasquatch footage this clear and up close. Usually these videos are shot from a distance and the creature is almost impossible to make out. I know I say this almost every time I show a Bigfoot video, but understand that I sift through a lot of garbage and I just don't bother putting most of these videos on lists like this because these videos aren't meant to put you to sleep. Although if you use them for that, I'm not offended. Close your eyes, go back to bed. Is this video genuine though? I mean, how can I say for sure? I do like it, I'll say that. There's more going on here than a monkey suit from Party City. This thing looks to have some bulk to it. There's color variation in the fur. If it is a hoax, I think it's pretty well done. Well, this is a freaky piece of footage. Not only is there a massive dead cow floating through the water, there's something under it. Gonna guess that something was involved in the death of the cow. I mean, good lord, look at the size of this thing. There's a full-on dinosaur swimming in this river. Of course, this is a croc or a gator. I couldn't actually find where this video was filmed, but the thing is an absolute beast. I know, very insightful of me. Take a look at this strange photo. Picture was snapped on Navajo land between cornfields and Greasewood, Arizona. It's been making the rounds on social media lately. According to the person who shared it, her aunt snapped the picture at the end of a small canyon after hearing weird noises while tending livestock on her property. There's not much more info about it, other than claims that the creature was seen again a few days later. The family chose not to go after it. They figured it was best to just leave it alone. Wise. Apparently stories about creatures like this have been told in the area for generations though. What do you think of this one? Only explanation that I have outside of this being a genuine Sasquatch, of course, is a black bear. There are black bears in Arizona. I'm not sure if they frequent this specific area. If anyone from Arizona can enlighten me in the comments, that would be great. A video from Buenos Aires this week has gotten people talking about possible demons or something strange. Very strange. This short blurry clip that's been getting shared around quite a bit on social media, at least on the forums I check out, shows what looks like a street or garden in Argentina. Here we can see some sort of bizarre dark figure crawling on all fours toward the camera while a few dogs walk around in the background. The creature seems to have very long spindly limbs, but it's hard to see clearly because it's dark and the video quality isn't really the best. Local news says this happened in the town of Saladillo, and people living there are reportedly scared of whatever it was. Some witnesses have called it demonic and say it has inhuman agility that lets it climb walls and jump between trees. A local firefighter who didn't want to give his name said that, quote, something was going on. Another witness added, he's something big. He doesn't walk on all fours, he walks backwards. He's disjointed, he comes apart, his head is upside down while his body moves in an impossible way. All of that said in Spanish. Of course, this series of photos were posted to Reddit a couple weeks back by SnakeTree1911, who wrote, I work as a land steward in the northeastern part of the US. Part of my job is reviewing images taken by our game cams. We recently pulled a cam from a fairly remote area, which hasn't been checked in a long time. These images caught my eye. None of the naturalists on our staff could ID this thing. I'm not sure if I believe in cryptids or whatever, but I don't know what this thing is. It's not a deer, it certainly isn't a bobcat, and if it's a black bear, it's the biggest one I've ever seen. I included a daytime photo so you can see that it's not just some weird shaped rock or whatever. I don't know, let me know what you think. And I will pose that same question to all you fine people watching. What do you think? Did a fisherman just capture footage of the real-life gill man? Apparently a guy was fishing near Barnegat Bay in eastern New Jersey when he saw something poke its head out of the water. He had no idea what he was looking at. The more he looked at it, the thing just kept rising and rising until the whole upper half of its body was out of the water, and it was clear that this was not your ordinary animal. I mean, yikes. How'd you like to be swimming in the water with this thing? I gotta say, this creature looks pretty convincing. Definitely gives me the ick, but there are a couple fun comments that I wanna mention as well. One person says, this is BS. If anyone saw that, they'd run, not record for 3 minutes, which, you know, fair enough. I can see where they're coming from there, but someone else responded, it's called a stare down. The person out of fear and the frog out of confusion. Hence the term scared stiff. Also a good point, but I really just love that they called this thing a frog. And also someone else commented, this is what happens when people stop eating frog legs. People just love calling this guy a frog. I don't know what frogs you people are looking at, but anyway. This next clip was shared by Sunny Vader on YouTube. The footage was captured by campers in Clearwater County, Alberta last month. The uploader had been tearing down their camp when they spotted this large, dark figure lurking in the trees nearby. He managed to quietly capture the thing on camera before it made its way back into the woods. They probably thought it was a bear at first, but after zooming in on the thing with the camera, they probably immediately changed their mind. It seems to be standing upright. Not that bears can't do that, but they usually won't for very long. It looks to me like this is a massive, hairy ape man spying on a couple hikers in the woods. On March 21st, something strange was spotted floating low over the rooftops in Saladin, Iraq, and yes, there's video of it. So as you can see, this strange object has a very odd shape. It looks like you took a flying saucer and then made it vertical. It almost looks like Boba Fett's Slave One from Star Wars. It also looks like it has these long trailing tendrils like a jellyfish, not like any drone I've ever seen. The object drifted smoothly over the buildings and a local managed to capture it on camera. The clip quickly spread online, just another piece of video to add to the growing list of UFO sightings this year. People who saw it described it as otherworldly and eerily silent. Some think it might be high-tech military equipment, others think this may actually be proof of something not from this world. But what do you all think? Now, stepping away from frogmen, aliens, and Sasquatch for a moment, let's talk about some mysterious jellyfish that were spotted just a few months back. The video shows two types of jellyfish that no one's ever seen before. At least ones that haven't been documented by science. The footage comes from researchers at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA. First up is this one here. A very bizarre looking creature. It's so hard to make sense of. It's just so different from anything we see day to day here on land. Almost looks like it belongs in space. As one of the researchers said while filming the thing though, I've never seen one of those. Have you? And then another researcher's like, nope. They also captured footage of this smaller jellyfish. NOAA scientists couldn't identify this one either. Both were found during a deep sea dive off the northeastern coast of the US near Newport, Rhode Island. We see so many supposed videos of Bigfoot, but barely ever any Dogman videos. Well, that all changes today. This dashcam footage comes out of Bladensboro, North Carolina. A man drove up to his property late at night when he got the fright of his life. Some big hairy creature had been lurking just outside his home, but his headlights hit it and the thing scuttled off into the trees. Not in the most graceful manner, I must add. This Dogman is rather dainty in its movements, does this kind of like toddler hop as it moves away. It can't be too hard on Dogman though. He's not as used to being in the spotlight, always being outshined by the ever so famous Sasquatch. What you're looking at here is well, I don't really know what the hell this thing is, and neither does the uploader. Redditor J Turley85 uploaded the footage writing, "My wife's coworker went out hunting this past weekend. They apparently took a pack of dogs out with them. While in the mountains, two of the dogs ran off. They chased them and found them both ripped apart after some searching. While trying to look for whatever caused it, they found this and recorded it through their scope. I tried to upscale the video for clarity, but this was the best I could get. Anyone know what this could be? The arms look like they have hair coming off it, and they look extremely long and skinny. At first I thought it could be another hunter, but I can't be sure. And yeah, I don't know, it could maybe be a hunter with a sheet over their head for like camouflage or something, but along with the story about all the dogs having been ripped apart, definitely makes whatever this thing is a lot stranger, and I don't like how it moves. What you're looking at here is said to be footage of a creature known as the Lake Van Monster, something that's been spotted in this lake in eastern Turkey. The first sighting goes way back to 1889, but it really grabbed headlines between 1995 and 1997 when more and more people started reporting on it. Over 1,000 people claim they've seen it, In 1997, a university assistant named Unal Kozak even filmed what he claimed was the creature, and the footage still stirs up arguments to this day. Some folks swear they see a beak in the footage, others think he just grabbed a clip of a swimming elephant. So if anyone can find a longer clip of a swimming elephant that matches up with this video, something that would have been available in 1997, please share in the comments. Maybe we can solve this together. Until then though, this one is gonna remain a mystery. Alright, this next video is really interesting because people can't really seem to decide if they think it's a creature or some type of unidentified flying object. The clip was posted to YouTube by Montana Mullet Militia, who wrote in the description, "Was out coyote hunting last night and caught this on film. It was super bizarre, 37 degrees outside, white hot mode." So this was captured on a thermal camera. Those little white specks are believed to be coyotes, with their bright colors showing that they're warm compared to their environment. The darker figure or object, first appearing to kind of run, then later seeing to fly, shows up colder than everything else around it, which is why it looks dark in the footage. As for what the hell this thing is, well, your guess is as good as mine. This photo was taken back in 1934 by a Swiss photographer named Balkan. He claimed he saw something strange near a log, some kind of creature that didn't look like anything he'd seen before, so he took a photo of it, and the picture kicked up quite a bit of interest. It even inspired a German magazine to sponsor a full-blown expedition to track down the creature. But like a lot of cryptid hunts, the trip was a bust, and people kinda moved on. But there have still been some strange sightings since. What exactly is this thing? Well, it's known as the Tatzelworm, a legendary beast from alpine folklore. It's said to have been haunting the mountains of Europe for centuries. Descriptions vary, but most say it looks like a chunky, cat-faced reptile, but with no back legs. Sometimes doesn't even have any at all, a bit more snake-like. Sightings have been reported all over the Alps, from Switzerland and Austria to parts of Germany and northern Italy. And it goes by a bunch of different names depending on where you are. Names which I'm gonna pronounce perfectly: Stollenworm, Springworm, and Pratzelworm, just to name a few. Even in modern times, people still claim to see it. So was the Tatzelworm just a tall tale, or did this photographer really capture something strange slithering through the Alps? Alright, this next one, nope, absolutely not. Someone's home security camera picked up what can only be described as pure nightmare fuel. There's this pale, creepy looking creature crouched in the bushes outside their house, just staring off into the distance, looking around. Glowing eyes, long limbs, totally bald. And when it stands up, it's tall, uncomfortably tall. People in the comments have been saying it looks like a Slender Man or a rake. There's also something else going on here. Some viewers pointed out it almost looks like it's wearing a black cloak or something. A cloaked, glowing-eyed rake demon thing. Again, that's a yikes for me. The face is the worst part. It's just blank. There's no mouth, no nose, nothing but those eerie glowing eyes. If I saw this outside my house, I would be gone. Keep the house, take the furniture, I don't care. What do you think this thing was though? An alien, a demon, a hoax? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. This video was taken by a fishing guide in Saskatchewan who spotted this massive wolf near his lodge. And I mean prehistorically massive, as if you need me to tell you that. Just look at it. The man spotted it from his window and decided to grab his camera. He stepped outside to get a better shot and the wolf backed off. But then it came back, and that's when his dog Trigger decided to chase after the thing. Waited for Trigger to turn her back, and in a blink it grabbed her by the hindquarters and tossed her in the air like a rag doll. That happens off camera because the guy rightly stopped filming and, went to save his dog. Luckily, the guy's buddy came out running with a shotgun, firing it into the air to break up the fight, and the wolf ran off. But not for long. It was bold enough to come back a couple more times. Luckily, there's no more trouble and the dog was okay aside from a few cuts. But things would have gone way worse if they hadn't scared the thing off in time. So this next clip comes from a Reddit user with the unforgettable name Panty Dinner 2003. The clip was captured in Louisiana. Starts off pretty normal. A couple guys are filming a field, catching some deer in the shot, along with a few dark shapes that look like dogs. So far, all good, but there's something that steps out of the trees, and it is not normal. This thing comes charging out of the woods, and it kind of looks like it's galloping, but it's definitely not a horse, and it sure isn't human either. It's got these long, creepy arms and seems to be running on all fours, but not in the way your typical four-legged animals do. This thing is off. Now, at first, I wasn't totally buying the laughter behind the camera, gotta be honest. I thought, all right, maybe this is staged, but I don't know. It could also be that nervous laughter, the kind people do when they're freaked out and just don't know how to process what they're seeing. What do you think? Weird animal? Skinwalker? Let me know which theory you're going with down in the comments. This next video comes out of Mexico. Two men came out to their back porch to find an owl acting very strangely. So strangely, in fact, they started to wonder if it was a shape-shifting witch or a bruja. A bruja is usually seen as a woman who uses magic, sometimes for good, sometimes for darker stuff. Some are said to cast curses and shapeshift. They show up a lot in ghost stories and creepy legends, especially in rural areas in Mexico. In some tales, a bruja might appear as an old woman, a mysterious animal, or a shadowy figure flying through the night. Now, the guys filming were kind of jokingly talking to this owl, asking if it was a bruja, but man, if the sun was down and you were alone and you saw this, I don't think you'd be asking that question in jest. I just do not like how this owl is moving, the way it starts stretching out its neck like that. Just no. Is it a scared or injured owl, or could there be something else going on here? This video was uploaded to TikTok by Jay Hayson, who simply wrote that these girls broke into his backyard and were watching him. Seems to me they were doing a lot more than just watching. One tells him to come out here, let's have fun. The other just cranes her net back, makes all these very unsettling faces, mostly just by opening her mouth all wide. And yeah, it seems like a great idea to go out there. Now, if this video is genuine, for one, it's very creepy. Those ladies were clearly not of sound mind at the time. And two, this was a very, very bad idea on the girls' part. Don't break into people's backyards and stare at them. At best, you've scared a stranger in their own home. Worst case scenario, you get shot at and you die, especially if you're in America. Doesn't matter if this one's a guy in a costume or some kind of prank. This is the kind of thing that would make me pack up my whole life and move to a different country. The video was posted to TikTok by Fast Bites Horror, and according to the description, a traveler had stumbled across this freaky creature hiding in the shadows, perched up on a ledge, just glaring down at him. And the poor guy is so scared, he starts praying out loud. You can hear the fear in his voice. And while I may not be religious myself, if I saw this thing, I definitely would be. I'm like, well, I guess Satan really does exist. What you're looking at here may not look like much at first glance. It's a snake. I mean, big deal, right? Well, the thing is, this is an aerial photograph taken way up in a helicopter. That snake is said to have been 50 feet long. Back in 1959, Colonel Remy van Leerde, an experienced Belgian World War II fighter pilot, was flying a helicopter over the Congo. As he's flying over the jungle in the Katanga region, he spots something moving down below. He claimed it was a massive snake, and it would have had to be for it to catch his eye way up in a chopper.
Then I was already flying for 25 years, so I have a very good experience of measuring things. And I would say the snake I saw there was close to 50 foot.
The snake had green and brown scales, and a head that was apparently 3 feet long and 2 feet wide. You could fit a grown man in its mouth. And as he flew in closer, the snake rose up off the ground, about 10 feet into the air, like it was trying to strike at the chopper. Van Leerde circled around a few times so someone else on board could snap a photo of it. Of course, skeptics have their doubts, but he stuck to his story up until his death in 1990. But what do you think he saw out there in the jungle? A new species, a leftover from the dinosaur age, or was the whole story a hoax? Let me know what you think in the comments. This next story takes us deep into the heart of Texas, a little rural spot called Dogman out in Fayette County. Michael Demmel captured something really strange on a hunting camera on his property. He has a bunch of these cameras set up, using them to track wildlife like coyotes, bobcats, and raccoons. These motion sensor cameras take about 100 pictures a day. and Michael goes through them every single day. He's been doing this for 10 years, so when he says something looks off, that's really saying something. Well, one night he captured whatever this thing was. He said he thought it was a monkey at first, and to be fair, in the blurry photo it kinda does look like one. Of course, that would still be very, very strange. There are no monkeys just running around in Texas unless one escaped from a zoo, and no, there were no monkey jailbreaks reported. So he shows the image to some friends, tries to get some answers, and the photo eventually hits the local news. Some say the thing looks a lot like a chupacabra, the legendary cryptid that's been blamed for livestock deaths for decades. Others think it has a bit of an alien or skinwalker kind of vibe. Now, the creature's about as big as a medium-sized dog, but the body shape, the face, totally off. Michael said, "In the 10 years I've been reviewing my cameras, I have never encountered anything like it." Even the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department got involved. They looked at the photo but ruled out any normal animal, saying it didn't look like a baby deer or anything they could easily identify. I always liked to imagine Spider-Man was real when I was a kid. Kinda always hoped I'd see him swinging around up there one day. Well, I would have been thrilled to see this next video. This footage was captured at the pedestrian bridge in Kiev, not where you'd be expecting to spot the web slinger, but superheroes do get around. Now clearly this is a person crawling under the bridge, but even so, why? I mean, this is pretty dangerous. That water down below does not look very deep. Unless this person has actual web slinging abilities, if they fall, they're getting hurt or worse. So who is this person? Is it just a thrill seeker? Are they out of their mind? Or is there a chance that this isn't even a person at all and that the camera person caught something otherworldly crawling under that bridge? This piece of footage was uploaded to Reddit by user KeyProposal8529. Some sort of strange creature was peering out at them from the woods. They wrote, "Hello all, I live near the Trail of Tears in Missouri. As I got home one night I saw this thing in the woods by my house. From where it was standing it has to be tall because there's a ditch right below where it stands. Any ideas? I'm terrified. Yes, I stayed in my car until I got the balls to run inside my house." Now, I have no idea what this thing could be. It's hard to make out, but if the Redditor is telling the truth here, then this is a pretty creepy piece of footage, because they pass by this area constantly. I mean, it's right outside their home. They know when something is out of place. A Reddit user out in the Midwest has been spotting a strange creature in their neighborhood. First, they posted these images along with a caption reading, "These are photos taken in the Midwest from an iPhone at night. The cryptid in question randomly appears in the same spot. Once a person begins to approach, it will vanish. It was seen again a few weeks ago and moved at an incredible speed across a few backyards. A local dog will bark at the spot that it appears in, even when it's not there. Trail cams will be set up soon. Please give me some ideas as to what it could be." The Redditor also posted an update with a video attached. This time, we can supposedly hear whatever this strange creature is. They wrote in the description, "We've got a video of the cryptid making what sounds like a scream. My friend was trying to find where it was standing but couldn't see it. Once the video ended, it appeared again in his yard but vanished as he went to get his phone again." This video was uploaded to YouTube by Paranormal Planet, who'd been exploring an ice cave in Hallstatt, Austria. Most of the video is pretty standard touristy type footage of the cave until we get to the end and see whatever this is. That is a pretty freaky looking creature. Now, my first thought was like, I don't know, maybe it's a frog or something, but according to the uploader, this thing was the size of a large man, and they were also standing far enough away that they wouldn't have picked it up in this kind of detail if it was something as small as a frog. So if that's to be believed, then this is a pretty strange piece of footage, and honestly, the more I do look at it, the less frog-like this thing really looks. I mean, frogs don't really articulate like this, and they don't usually chill in ice caves either. And the way it bends its limbs almost looks like how a human would climb, except it's way too long and spindly to be a person. So I don't know what this is. Let me know your thoughts down below. This next video was posted to Facebook by a man named Clay Shiner. He was filming the woods one evening because he spotted something moving just behind the tree line. Turns out, was not a bear. The thing that really struck me about this video is how long this thing's arms are. At first it just looks like, you know, a typical formless black shape hiding in the trees like so many Sasquatch videos you see. But when it steps forward a bit and stretches its arms out to the sides, it's like, damn, those are long, very ape-like, very creepy. Reddit user Adjacent Gunman posted this image with the caption, "Over a year ago, this picture was taken by a trail cam back on my property. This version has been lightened. It's something holding a dead coyote by the throat, and it stands about 7.5 to 8 feet tall." He also posted an unedited version of the image. He said he based the thing's height off of where its eyes are compared to his cabin. Now, this thing is hard to make out, but there's definitely something there. Could it be a bear standing on its hind legs? Possibly, but the way it's holding its prey, it looks almost humanoid. But I don't know, maybe that's just my wishful thinking. I wholeheartedly want Bigfoot to be real. Uploaded to the YouTube channel Hola Bible in 2011, this video really creeped a lot of people out. The uploader said he'd been hearing some strange sounds coming from the forest behind his home in Oregon. Keep in mind, he lived 6 miles from the nearest city. He went out to investigate with a night vision camera. Well, he didn't get very far before he came across the source of these strange noises. Crouching in some brush was some sort of odd-looking, hairless creature. He zooms into the thing a bit, trying to make out what the hell it is, and then this happens. So it looks like Gollum was lurking around in this guy's woods, or an alien, or a rake. It looks like a lot of things, all of them creepy, none of which you'd want skulking around in your backyard. I just hope this dude moved. And finally, I have another piece of Bigfoot footage for you. This video comes out of Russia, and in it, we see some folks filming some woods near their property. They'd spotted something sprinting through the trees, and what they see is pretty shocking. What's really cool about this video is how the thing moves. How many supposed Bigfoot videos do you see where it's just this figure like lumbering through the trees like a dude in a costume, unsure of their footing? You kind of see them trying to keep their balance. Well, that is not the case here. This thing is sprinting at high speed and leaping across the ground as if it's an animal that is very familiar with its environment. That's why this has become such a well-known clip in the Sasquatch community, which no, I'm not a part of, but my interest is still very much there. What would you do if you were out on the water and you saw this?
What the is that? Go, I don't know what that is, Dave.
This video was uploaded to the Residual Payments YouTube channel back in 2013, and what's freaky about this one is that you see all this movement on the water on the left side of the screen, and then boom, we get something breaching the water much further away. So was this a pair of creatures, or more horrifyingly, just one big animal? Another thing I love about the video is the audible sounds of fear and panic coming from the couple filming. They sound genuinely shocked and freaked out. The story behind this one is that a woman named Patricia and her fiance Dave had been fishing in Sanibel, Florida on October 6th, 2013, when they spotted something in the water. It was a serpentine creature, longer than their boat, about 20 feet or about 6 meters. They watched as the thing sped through the water before splashing up, looking like it had wrapped itself around something before descending back down into the water. The pair had also lived in Florida all their lives and had seen plenty of dolphins and manatees over the years, stressing that what they encountered here was not a manatee or a dolphin. Just what in the 7 levels of hell is this thing? Not a whole lot of information on this video. All we know is it was shot in Santa Fe, New Mexico back in the summer. Sightings of chupacabra-like creatures have been reported all over New Mexico, and by extension the rest of the southwestern United States, Mexico, and parts of South America. So could this thing be a goat-sucking monster, or something else? Some say it looks like a skinwalker mid-transformation, or just a very unhealthy looking person. Whatever it is though, if I lived in New Mexico, I'd probably be switching states. I just don't need something like that around me. What do you all think of this one? Genuine? Hoax? Share your thoughts down below. What you're looking at here is known as the Gable film, a piece of footage supposedly capturing a dogman creature on camera. It's a pretty creepy piece of footage. That old film grain quality gives it this very visceral, uneasy feeling about it. There's a lot of mystery behind this one, but the film was supposedly shot in Michigan at some point in the 70s. A man is being filmed on a snowmobile when the camera cuts to a hill. Crouched atop it is a dark, hairy-looking figure which begins bounding towards the camera, and then this happens. The legend of the Dogman dates all the way back to 1887 when a group of lumberjacks in Wexford County reported seeing this huge, hairy creature with the body of a man and the head of a dog. They described it standing on two legs, like a person, but with glowing eyes, sharp teeth, and claws. Since then, sightings have popped up all over Michigan, especially in the northern parts of the state. People claim they've spotted this eerie creature prowling the woods, particularly in areas like the Manistee National Forest. It's said to be about 7 feet tall, covered in fur, with the body of a human, but the face of a snarling dog. This footage here was supposedly taken at the Roswell crash site. Again, we have a nice, creepy, grainy piece of footage here. Now, if this footage is indeed real, it would have been kept under wraps for a very long time. There was a ton of secrecy surrounding Roswell, but is it possible this footage came from a whistleblower? I definitely love to believe it, but I have my doubts. I've always been fascinated by the Roswell case itself though. We all know the story. In 1947, a mysterious object crashed near Roswell, New Mexico. It was described as a flying disc, but then almost overnight the story changed and authorities said it wasn't a flying saucer and that it was a weather balloon. But in the decades since, whistleblowers have come forward saying they know the real story, saying they saw alien bodies being recovered from the crash site, alien bodies that have been described pretty much exactly like the ones seen in this clip. Now, what exactly are these things? Walking pairs of pants? Well, they've been dubbed the Fresno nightcrawlers, and they've been captured on camera more than once. The clip here was taken in Yosemite National Park. This next video was actually the first time the creatures were ever caught on camera. Take a look at this. It all started with a man named Jose in Fresno, California. He had a security camera set up outside his house, mostly to keep an eye on his lawn. One night, he was woken up by his dogs barking. He checked the camera footage, and that's when he saw this strange, white, almost ghostly figure walking across his lawn. It was tall, thin, and had long, spindly legs that seemed to glide over the grass. Jose was freaked out and woke up his brother to show him the footage. His brother even said he found small, weird footprints outside, but by the time investigators showed up to check it out, all the evidence had been washed away. Now, the footage that initially blew up online has kind of disappeared. The only remaining video is this grainy clip taken from a monitor. There was another sighting in 2020 in Billings, Montana on a home surveillance system, which also caught footage of these mysterious nightcrawlers. This one's a lot harder to see, but pay close attention to the dark right-hand corner of the screen. So what are these things? They don't really resemble any known animal, and they definitely don't fit your typical cryptid profile like Bigfoot or Mothman. Some people think they could be extraterrestrial beings or interdimensional creatures, or maybe more ghostly apparitions. But skeptics also say they could just be the result of weird camera glitches or that low quality playing tricks on our eyes. This dude just happened to spot a prehistoric wolf in his yard. Yeah, once it runs up to the normal sized dog, we really get the full scope of this thing's size. The thing looks like a dire wolf. Now, this is actually a timber wolf, a huge timber wolf, but a timber wolf all the same. The video was shot in Saskatchewan, and the man who shot it said, "I work as a fishing guide in northern Saskatchewan, and I shot this video on one of our trails around the lodge. We get a lot of bears that come around the lodge, but this year we had a black wolf that started to come around for a few days. We spotted the wolf through the window of the kitchen in the lodge, and I made my way outside with the camera. When I started to take pictures, the wolf left, then returned a few minutes later, and that's when Trigger, his dog, took after the wolf. The wolf waited for Trigger to turn away from him, and that's when he grabbed the dog in the back and threw her up in the air right in front of me. Dan fired into the air, and that broke the fight up. The wolf turned and left. We followed the wolf into the bush and shot again to scare him off. The wolf came back 2 more times that day, looking for the dog, we think. Trigger had a few good wounds and cuts, but she's fine now. This next video is captured in Russia. Take a look at this. The footage is from a remote area in Russia, located between the Ural Mountains and the Volga River, close to the Kazakhstan border. So in the video, we've got a car driving down a dark road. The driver and passengers are chatting in Russian, and if you listen closely, you can clearly hear the word Yeti pop up a few times in their conversation. Now, at first, it sounds like they're just having a normal drive, but Then we see what we see about 36 seconds into the clip. This blurry, shadowy figure dashes across the road right in front of the car's headlights. The moment it happens, the car immediately slams to a stop and the engine cuts out. Now, as far as what exactly is in the video, it's hard to say. The figure that dashes across the road is too blurry and fast to make out much detail, plus it's white, so it blends in pretty well with the snow, but from what we can see, it doesn't look like any normal animal or person. Next up, we have another strange video out of Florida. Take a look at this one. The video was shot in Edgewater, Florida. Joe Tiller and his wife April were out on the water near Menard May Park when they recorded a massive creature around 12 to 15 feet long. Now, at first Joe thought that it was just a big manatee, but something was off about it. He described it saying it had huge muscles like shoulders on a bull. It was as if it was rolling its shoulders like a bear underwater. He also pointed out that they didn't see any fur, head, or limbs though. Tiller, who's lived in the area for 5 years working on boats, said he's never seen anything like this. The creature was even grunting, which freaked him out enough to steer clear when it started heading toward a nearby channel. After sharing the video online, it quickly went viral, but no one can agree on what this thing is. Some think it could be a manatee struggling at low tide. Others have even said it could be a black bear crossing the river, but Tiller went on to say, "I can't find any video online that shows manatees to look like this with rolling shoulders." Wow, this is nightmare fuel. I hate how large whatever this thing is, the fact that it looks slightly human, the glowing eyes, all of it is just the last thing I'd ever want to see walking through the forest at night. Not sure where this one comes from originally. If anyone has any more info on it, let me know down in the comments. Alright, I'm gonna finish off with a fun one. In the Mount Rushmore of cryptids, the Loch Ness Monster is right up there with Bigfoot and whoever else you'd want to put on the list. I imagine Mothman would be on there. Anyway, take a look at this. I can't tell you how much I want this to be real. I don't know where this footage comes from originally. All I know is that it looks pretty convincing, but obviously someone made this with some very skillful CGI or AI or whoever knows what eye these days, but I can say this, out of some of the crazier cryptids like the Loveland Frog and the Flatwoods Monster, the idea of a surviving plesiosaur lurking somewhere out there in the vastness of Earth's waters isn't all that hard to believe. I mean, not only did these things actually exist at one point in time, but there's a lot of unexplored water. Who knows what could be out there, really? I highly doubt there's a surviving dinosaur swimming around in Loch Ness, but in other parts of the world where there's more marine life to feast on, sure. Maybe. Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have the Yakumama. Deep in the winding currents of the Amazon River, stories persist about the Yakumama, the legendary mother of water. This isn't your average fish tale. We're talking about a serpent of unimaginable proportions, said to reach lengths of up to 160 feet. Locals believe this colossal creature lurks near the river's mouth, waiting silently beneath the surface. The most unsettling part? The Yakumama is rumored to have the power to suck in anything within a 100-foot radius. Boats vanish without a ripple, and unsuspecting victims are pulled under, leaving nothing but questions behind. Some think it's the river's way of protecting itself, a guardian ensuring that only the respectful may pass. Is there a mammoth serpent hiding in those depths, or are these stories meant to keep thrill seekers at bay? In our number 9 spot today, we have El Tunchi. Walking through the dense Amazon rainforest, travelers might hear a haunting whistle that seems to come from all directions at once. This is El Tunchi, a malevolent spirit said to manifest as an eerie sound echoing through the jungle. Locals warn that the whistle isn't just unsettling, it's a lure. Those who follow it are drawn deeper into the labyrinth of trees and shadows. People who disrespect the jungle, taking more than they need or harming its creatures, are particularly at risk. Many have ventured towards that mysterious sound only to vanish without a trace. Is it just the wind playing tricks, or could there truly be a vengeful spirit guarding the heart of the Amazon? Either way, the legend of El Tunchi adds an unsettling layer to the already mysterious rainforest, reminding us that some paths are better left unexplored.
In our number 8 spot today, we have the Mapinguari. Deep within the untamed depths of the Amazon rainforest, locals speak in hushed tones about the Mapinguari, a creature that challenges the boundaries between myth and reality. This towering figure is described as a giant, covered in thick, matted hair that conceals most of its grotesque features. But the most unsettling detail, a gaping mouth right in the middle of its stomach, lined with sharp teeth ready to devour anything or anyone that crosses its path. With claws long enough to carve through tree trunks, the Mapinguari is said to roam the jungle with a fierce sense of territory. Those who've caught a whiff of its presence describe an overpowering stench so vile it can bring a grown person to their knees. Stories tell of unfortunate souls who ventured too far and encountered this beast, never to return. Could this be a surviving remnant of prehistoric times? Perhaps a giant ground sloth that evaded extinction? Or is it a cautionary tale woven to keep explorers wary of the rainforest's hidden dangers? In our number 7 spot today, we have Encantado. Amid the winding rivers and dense foliage of the Amazon, tales abound of the Encantado, a creature as captivating as it is dangerous. Locals speak of these shapeshifters who often take the form of sleek river dolphins, known for their intelligence and mysterious aura. But when the sun dips below the horizon, the Encantado is said to emerge from the water as an irresistibly seductive human, blending effortlessly into nearby villages. With enchanting music and charm that can bewitch even the most guarded hearts, they draw people into their spell. The real peril begins when an Encantado fixates on someone, leading them to the river's edge. Victims are either pulled into the depths, never to surface again, or left with a haunting madness that defies explanation. Stories circulate of festival nights where a stranger's captivating gaze led to a person's disappearance by morning. Could these beings be spirits guarding the secrets of the river, or are they something far more sinister? The legend of the Encantado adds an alluring yet ominous chapter to the rich folklore of the Amazon, reminding us that not all that glitters under the moonlight is benign. In our number 6 spot today, we have the Chulachaki. Stories circulate among Amazonian villages about the Chulachaki, a mysterious entity said to roam the depths of the rainforest. This dwarf-like being has a chilling talent. It can perfectly mimic the appearance and voice of a loved one. People recount instances where they heard a familiar call from the tree line, only to see a friend or family member beckoning them deeper into the woods. Something feels slightly off. A mismatched shoe perhaps, or an unusual gait, but curiosity often overcomes caution. Once the Chulachaki has lured its victim away from the beaten path, the forest seems to shift and change, leaving them hopelessly lost. Many believe that the Chulachaki is the guardian of the jungle, fiercely protecting it from those who would do it harm. In our number 5 spot today, we have the Maracoxi, a mysterious group of large, hairy, ape-like humanoids that bear a striking resemblance to the legendary Bigfoot. Standing taller than any known primate, these creatures are said to be covered in thick fur with eyes that pierce through the dense jungle foliage. Locals speak of eerie encounters where menacing figures watched from the shadows, emanating guttural sounds that sent chills down the spine. Highly territorial, the Maracoxi are believed to be fiercely protective of their domain. Those who unknowingly cross into their territory risk facing aggressive displays or even outright attacks. There are unsettling stories of explorers and hunters who ventured too far and vanished without a trace, their disappearances attributed to these elusive beings. Some speculate that the Maracoxi could be a lost branch of the evolutionary tree, or perhaps a primitive tribe shrouded in secrecy. Could there be truth to these stories, hiding just beyond the edge of the known world? In our number 4 spot today, we have the Sakuriju Gigante. Deep within the shadowy waters of the Amazon, legends speak of the Sucuriju gigante, a serpent of unimaginable proportions that makes even the largest known anacondas seem like mere garter snakes. This isn't just another tall tale. Locals swear by sightings of this behemoth, describing a creature so massive it can coil itself around entire boats and drag them under without a ripple left behind. Fishermen share whispered stories of ripples that grow into waves, of enormous scales glimpsed just beneath the water's surface, and of friends who ventured into certain parts of the river, never to return. The jungle teems with unexplained disappearances and eerie accounts of livestock vanishing from riverbanks overnight. Could a snake of such colossal size truly evade scientific discovery, or is this just a manifestation of the Amazon's untamed spirit? Either way, the mere possibility keeps even the bravest souls a little wary, reminding us that some depths are better left unexplored. In our number 3 spot today, we have the Sachamama. In the deepest reaches of the Amazon rainforest, where the trees tower like ancient guardians, stories emerge about the Sachamama, the mother of the jungle. This isn't merely a snake, but a colossal serpent so immense that over time, the forest has grown over her, with trees and vines intertwining across her massive form. Travelers speak of moments where the jungle falls eerily silent and a strange tranquility washes over them. It's then that they realize they're standing upon something that's not Earth, but the scaled back of the Sachamama herself. Despite her seemingly immobile state, she possesses a hypnotic power that can entrance anyone who wanders too close, trapping them in an eternal spell. Those ensnared are said to become one with the jungle, their stories ending where the Sachamama's begins. Is she a benevolent protector of the wild, or a lurking danger awaiting the next unsuspecting soul? In our number 2 spot today, we have Latunda. Among the many eerie tales that echo through the Amazon rainforest, the legend of Latunda sends shivers down the spine like no other. Originating from Afro-Ecuadorian lore, this shape-shifting vampiric creature is said to prowl the jungle, searching for unsuspecting victims. Latunda has a terrifying ability. It can perfectly mimic the appearance and voice of a loved one, be it a family member, a close friend, or even a romantic interest. Everything seems normal, but there's always something subtly off that hints at the imposter beneath the facade. Luring people deeper into the tangled heart of the forest, Latunda isolates them from any chance of rescue. It's in this remote wilderness that she reveals her true form, draining the life force of her victims to sustain her own existence. Stories tell of people who followed a familiar face into the trees, only to disappear without a trace. And finally, in our number 1 spot today, we have the black jaguar. Amidst the labyrinth of vines and towering trees in the Amazon, tales abound of the black jaguar, known locally as the jaguar negro. This isn't your average big cat, it's a mystical, melanistic jaguar said to be larger than any ever documented. Cloaked in fur so dark it seems to absorb the light, this elusive predator moves through the jungle like a shadow-given form. Locals whisper that its eyes glow with an otherworldly light, piercing the inky darkness of the forest nights. Believed to possess supernatural powers, the black jaguar is more than just an animal. It's considered an omen of death. Hunters who have attempted to track this creature often vanish without a trace, fueling stories that it can traverse between the physical world and the spiritual realm. Some say it guards the secrets of the jungle, ensuring that its mysteries remain untouched by human hands. Whether rooted in reality or born from cautionary tales, these creatures embody the perils that can befall those who venture unprepared into the unknown. Exploration is a human instinct, but some secrets of the Amazon might be best left undisturbed. Coming in at number 10 is the Wendigo. A Wendigo originates from a folklore of Plains and Great Lakes natives as well as some First Nations. It's based in and around the East Coast forests of Canada, the Great Plains region of the United United States and the Great Lakes region of both the United States and Canada. Now, sometimes Wendigos are described as exceptionally thin, with the skull and skeleton pushing through its ash-colored mummy-like skin. Other stories describe the Wendigo as a well-fleshed giant who gets proportionately larger the more it eats. According to other legends, the Wendigo has a pointed or animal-like ears with antlers or horns sprouting on its head. A Wendigo's eyes have been described as sunken or glowing like hot coals. Sharp and pointy teeth, extremely bad breath, and bodily odor are often traits of a Wendigo. It is usually, but not always, endowed with powers such as superhuman strength and stamina that allows it to stalk, overpower, and devour its victims. Wendigos are usually credited with exceptional eyesight, hearing, and sense of smell. They're said to move with the speed of the wind and have the ability to walk across deep snow or even over open water without sinking. Now, it's said to invoke feelings of insatiable greed and hunger, and the desire to eat other humans, and propensity to end people's lives in those who fall under its influence. Number 9. El Chupacabra. The El Chupacabra is a legendary creature in the folklore of parts of the Americas. In 1975, a series of livestock killings in the small town of Mocha, Puerto Rico were attributed to the vampire of Mocha. Now, each of these animals were reported to have its body bled dry through a series of small circular incisions. A few months later, in August, an eyewitness reported seeing the creature in Puerto Rico, where as many as 150 farm animals and pets were reportedly killed. Now, physical descriptions of the creature vary. In Puerto Rico and in Latin America, it is generally described as a heavy creature, reptilian and alien-like, roughly the size of a small bear, and with a row of spines reaching from the neck to the base of the tail, while in southwestern United States, it is depicted as more dog-like. Shortly after the first reported incident in Puerto Rico, other animal deaths were reported in other countries, such as Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Dominican Republic, El Salvador, Honduras, Mexico, Nicaragua, Panama, Peru, and the United States. Coming at number 8, we have Bigfoot. Bigfoot, also commonly referred to as Sasquatch, is an ape-like creature said to inhabit the forest of North America. North American settlers started reporting sightings during the late 1800s and into the 1900s, with the occasional finding of footprints, sporadic encounters, and even grainy photos and videos adding to the mystery. Bigfoot is often described as a large, muscular, bipedal ape or human-like creature covered in black, dark brown, or dark reddish hair. Descriptions estimate the height of roughly 6 to 9 feet, with some depictions having the creature standing as tall as 10 to 15 feet. Some alleged observations describe Bigfoot as more human than ape, particularly in regards to the face. Common descriptions include broad shoulders, no visible neck, and long arms. Now, some alleged nighttime sightings have stated the creature's eyes glowed yellow or red. In 1971, multiple people in the Dalles, Oregon filed a police report describing an overgrown ape, and one of the men claimed to have sighted the creature in the scope of his rifle, but could not bring himself to shoot it because it looked more human than animal. Now, there have been hundreds, if not thousands, of Bigfoot sightings, and Bigfoot has come somewhat of a pop culture figure, as there are TV shows, movies, and fan clubs dedicated to him. Number 7. Lizard Man. In the folklore of Lee County, South Carolina, the Lizard Man of Scape or Swamp is an entity said to inhabit the swampland of the region. First mentioned in the late 1980s, the sightings and damage attributed to the creature yielded a significant amount of newspaper, radio, and television publicity. On July 14, 1988, the Lee County Sheriff's Office investigated a report of a car damaged overnight while parked at a home on the edge of Scape or Swamp. The car reportedly had tooth marks and scratches with hair and muddy footprints left behind. Sheriff Liston Truesdale noted that this was the start of various claims that eventually turned into a story about a lizard man in the swamp. Prompted by the news of the vehicle damage, local Christopher Davis reported to the sheriff that his car was damaged by a creature he described as green, wet-like, about 7 feet tall, and had 3 fingers, red eyes, skin like a lizard, and snake-like scales 2 weeks earlier. According to Christopher, he was driving home from working a night shift at a fast food restaurant when his car got a flat tire. After fixing it, he saw a creature walking towards him. He got in his car and began to drive, but the creature was soon on top of the car. He applied the brakes, causing the creature to roll off the car, giving him enough time to escape. Number 6. Loveland Frog. In Ohio folklore, the Loveland frog is a legendary humanoid frog described as standing roughly 4 feet tall, allegedly spotted in Loveland, Ohio. In 1972, the Loveland frog legend gained renowned attention when a Loveland police officer reported to a colleague that he had seen an animal consistent with the description of the frogman. After a reported sighting in 2016, the second officer called a news station to report that he had shot and killed the same creature some weeks after the 1972 incident and had identified it as a large iguana that was missing its tail. Now, according to various legends, the creature was first sighted by a businessman or traveling salesman driving along an unnamed road late at night in 1955, with some versions of the story specifying the month of May. In one story, the driver was heading out of a Branch Hill neighborhood when he spotted 3 figures standing erect on their hind legs along the side of the road, each 3 to 4 feet in height, with leathery skin and frog faces. In other versions of the story, the creatures were spotted under or over a poorly lit bridge, and one held a wand over its head that fired a spray of sparks. Number 5. Bat Squatch. The Bat Squatch is a flying cryptid that was allegedly seen near Mount St. Helens in the 1980s. This creature is said to have yellow eyes, a dog-like muzzle, blue fur, sharp teeth, bird-like feet, and a leathery bat-like wings that span up to 50 feet. In addition, Bat Squatch is said to be 9 feet tall and has the ability to affect car engines. In April 1994, Brian Canfield was driving in Washington's Pierce County when his truck suddenly died. He said a large creature landed in front of him that was human-like, 9 feet tall, with bat-like wings and a coat of blue fur. A possible second sighting was reported in 2009 near Mount Shasta in California. Several hikers witnessed a huge creature with leathery wings spanning 50 feet fly out of a crevice in the mountain. At first, an eyewitness described the creature as having a head similar to a pterodactyl. However, upon reconsideration, the witness claimed that it was more akin to a flying fox bat. Then, in June 2011, a man was in his yard walking his dog and said, "I saw something flying in the sky. It had bat wings, blue fur, and had a face similar to eyes growing red. It was about 9 feet tall at the least, and I watched it just fly away." Number 4. Jersey Devil. The Jersey Devil is a legendary creature said to inhabit the forests of the Pine Barrens in South Jersey. This creature is often described as a flying biped with hooves, but there are many variations. The common description is that of a bipedal kangaroo or wyvern-like creature with a horse or goat-like head, leathery bat-like wings, horns, small arms with clawed hands, legs with cloven hooves, and a forked or pointed tail. It has been reported to move quickly and is often described as emitting a high-pitched, blood-curdling scream. According to popular folklore, the Jersey Devil originated with a Pine Barrens resident named Jade Leeds, also known as Mother Leeds. The legend states that Mother Leeds had 12 children, and after discovering she was pregnant for the 13th time, she cursed the child in frustration, declaring that the child would be the devil. Born as a normal child, the 13th child transformed into the creature with hooves, a goat's head, bat wings, and a forked tail. Growling and screaming, the child beat everyone with its tail before flying up the chimney and heading into the pines. It was in some versions of the tale that Mother Leeds was supposedly a witch, and the child's father was the devil himself. Then one of the first reported Jersey Devil sightings was in 1812, when Joseph Bonaparte, Napoleon's older brother, claimed he saw the Jersey Devil while hunting near his Bordentown estate. Number 3. Mothman. In West Virginia folklore, the Mothman is a humanoid creature reportedly seen in the Point Pleasant area from November 5th, 1966 to December 15th, 1967. The first newspaper report was published on the Point Pleasant Register, dated November 16th, 1966, titled "Couple See Man-Sized Bird, Creature, Something." The national press soon picked up on the reports and helped spread the news story across the United States. On November 15th, 1996, 2 young couples from Point Pleasant, Dickie and Linda Maxwell, and Steve and Mary Mallet, told police that they had seen a large white creature whose eyes glowed red, standing at the side of the road near the TNT area, the site of the former World War II mutations plant. Linda Scarberry described it as a slender, muscular man, about 7 feet tall with white wings, and said that she was unable to discern its face due to the hypnotic effects of its eyes. Distressed, the witnesses drove away at a high speed and said that the creature flew after their car, making a screeching sound. It pursued them as far as Point Pleasant city limits, and during the next few days, other people reported similar sightings after local newspapers reported it. 2 volunteer firemen who saw it said it was a large bird with red eyes. Number 2. Skunk Ape. The skunk ape is a cryptid ape-like creature that inhabits forests and swamps in the southeastern United States. Perhaps most prominent in the state of Florida, the alleged creature is also commonly referred to as the Florida Bigfoot and is often compared to or called the cousin of Bigfoot, a prominent subject within North America popular culture. Now, the skunk ape is commonly described as a bipedal ape-like creature, approximately 5 to 7 feet tall and covered in malted reddish-brown hair. It is named for its foul odor, often described as being similar to a skunk. The skunk ape has been recorded as appearing in Florida, Georgia, and Alabama folklore since European settlers first occupied the region. In 1818, local newspapers reported a story that spoke of a man-sized monkey raiding food stores and stalking fishermen along the shore. And coming at number 1 is skinwalkers. In Navajo culture, a skinwalker is a type of harmful witch who has the ability to turn into, possess, or disguise themselves as an animal. According to some traditions, skinwalkers were once healers and medicine men who were corrupted by their own power and turned evil. By draping the hide of certain animals over themselves, the witch takes on the form and traits of the animal. Now, in doing so, the witch gains the animal's strength, speed, and endurance. They sometimes transform themselves into animals simply for the purpose of traversing great distances quickly. They may also transform in order to wreak havoc on others, as well as their identity will be hidden and they'll be able to escape quickly if necessary. Now, they curse people and cause great suffering and death, one Navajo writer explained. At night, their eyes grow red like hot coals. It is said that if you see the face of a skinwalker, they have to kill you. If you see one and know who it is, you will die. If you see them and you don't know them, they have to kill you to keep you from finding out who they are. Skinwalkers are also telepathically linked with each other, enhancing their coordination during hunts and fights, but allowing little or no privacy at any time. Now, they can also copy animal or human voices to lure victims to feed on. They generally copy the sound of a human that is in need of help, so make sure you don't get tricked.